How much does it cost to refurbish a flat in the southeast or the south coast? What goes into the project management of this refurbishment, and what have you got to think about before the first tradesperson even steps a little tiny foot in the front door? I'm going to be going through all of that in this video and more. And if you want to see how I purchased this property, you can check out my videos here and here. In this video, I'm going to give you a comprehensive breakdown of how I transformed the property from a very rundown, almost derelict, uninhabitable one-bedroom flat into a beautiful, chic one-bedroom flat tenanted with a very happy tenant, doubling or more than doubling its initial purchase price. If you are new to the channel, my name is Johnny Marsden and I've been investing in property now for over a decade. I've worked across multiple property strategies and I make these videos so you can learn from me, learn all the wonderful things that I've done right, but most importantly, learn from the things that I've up. So if you like what you see, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, even hit that bell notification, and that means all my videos will come straight to you as and when I make them. Please don't be too afraid to ask a question. I don't bite. As long as it's property related, I'm happy to answer it. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. It's all well and good me saying price up your refurbishment, but how do you know who's the best? How do you know if the quotes are way off or way too low? How do you price up the refurb yourself? I'm going to tell you what I did for this project. Hopefully you can take it into one of your projects. Before even physically viewing the property, going around and walking around and looking at it, if you can do an online viewing or some online due diligence, do. Firstly, is there a floor plan available? If there is, where are the sockets? Where are the light switches? Where's the boiler? Where's the radiator? Where's the windows? If you're buying a property to refurbish, it likely means it's quite old and dated. You might need double glazing. You might need to get more modern radiators that are more efficient. You might need to add some more sockets in. You're almost guaranteed to have to put in some more sockets, because what people were living like in the 70s is not like what we're living like now. In the 21st century, people need to plug in their tech. Where are the doors? Which way do they open? Where's the fuse board? Where's the soil pipe? If you don't know what a soil pipe is, Google it. It's very important. It's basically the waste pipe where all the stuff from the toilet leaves the house or leaves the flat and goes out into the sewer. This is super important if you want to change the floor plan around, for example, because if the soil pipe's all the way at the back of the house, and that's where the toilets are and the kitchen's at the back of the house at the bottom, but you have an idea that you want to change the floor plan around and leave the kitchen at the front and move all the toilets to the front to create an extra bedroom at the back, well, it's going to be very difficult for it to flush now from the front all the way to the back. Just trust me, know where your soil pipe is. Before you consider any stylish flooring or paneling or your Farrow and Ball paint from Homebase and B&Q, disclaimer, this is not sponsored by Homebase or B&Q or Farrow and Ball, you need to get in a RICS surveyor to give you a building survey. Make sure they're a RICS surveyor, so they're part of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. I've mentioned that in a previous video, but that just means they're qualified properly to give you a building survey. Unless you're dealing with a brand new building where you've likely got a warranty on that for X amount of years, I would get a building survey on all the properties that you purchase. Some people may disagree, but just to be on the safe side, get someone in to assess it, and they will be able to give you a comprehensive breakdown of all the things that are wrong and all the things that you will need to fix. And that is so important when pricing up a job and having a chat with your tradespeople or your builder after to get an idea of how much it's going to cost you to refurbish the property. Often there are some hidden issues with the building that you just can't see by the naked eye, and a surveyor who's spending hours on it of a morning or an afternoon to assess what is wrong with the property will be able to find this for you. Top tip here, if you're buying a flat and you are not on the top floor, so you don't have access to the roof from your flat, a lot of surveyors will need access to be able to assess the roof and see if the roof needs any work to it. The roof can obviously cost a lot of money to fix, and you, as well as everyone else in the building, as in all the other leaseholders in the building, will be responsible for fixing the roof. If they don't have access through your property and they can't access externally via a ladder, which often they can't because they come on their own, find a surveyor that has a drone. And I know that sounds pretty crazy, but they do have access to that sort of technology now, and they might come a little bit more expensive, but I promise you it will save you a lot of money in the long run. I didn't manage to find that, although my surveyor managed to locate a hole in the roof that was just above my flat, and I could put that into the price of the refurbishment. What we didn't account for was the rest of the roof, and that actually ended up costing a lot of money later down the line. So if you can, get the whole roof looked at, and if they can't access through your property or through the externals of the property, make sure they have a drone so they can glide that little bad boy over and see what's wrong. I've said this in my last 2 videos and I'm going to say it again. Due diligence when you are getting any external contractor over to have a look at the building. This is whether or not they are a trade, whether they are a surveyor, whether they're a letting agent or an estate agent if you're potentially looking to sell the property on afterwards. I had to do my due diligence on this surveyor. I spoke to previous clients. I had a look at some of their Google reviews and some of their Trustpilot reviews. You need to know that they can do the right job for you. Make sure you're talking to previous clients. Not only are you managing to find out about recent projects that the surveyor has completed, you are actually building your network here as well. The likeliness of you actually talking to a landlord or a builder or a fellow investor is high. And your network, I'm going to say it, but your network is your net worth. And that is true. Never a truer word or truer phrase said. So now you might be wondering, when does the survey actually get conducted? Great question. All offers should be made subject to survey, which is a great tip. It prepares the estate agent or prepares the seller properly, and it informs them upfront that your offer might change after the survey has been carried out. Ideally, as soon as your offer gets the nod, gets the A-OK, that's when you'd get your surveyor around to have a look at the property and see if there's anything that you didn't account for or you didn't see on your original viewings that you need to build into your refurbishment and hence build into your offer price. What's next in the refurbishment journey? So you've offered subject to surveys. Surveys have been completed. No adverse findings have come back. That's exactly what happens on this case study. I offered subject to surveys. The survey came back as expected. There wasn't anything additional that I would have had to add into my refurbishment costs. So between myself and the seller or the vendor, we were able to move on to the next stage. Look at the externals. How many windows does it have? Is there anything that needs painting? What's the guttering like? What's the brickwork like? Is there anything blatantly obvious externally that needs to be done? People overlook the external of a property all the time, and it can often cost you. Are there any sheds, any outbuildings? If there are, what sort of maintenance and what sort of costs are you going to have to account for that? Does the outbuilding need a lot of work done to it? Can it be converted? Is it going to be full of asbestos? You'll find with some of the older places that they're full of asbestos. That's going to cost you thousands to get rid of. So don't overlook any sheds or outbuildings. And lastly, you need to look out for Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed is notorious and spreads like wildfire. Mortgage companies will not lend if there's Japanese knotweed present. One of the best ways that you can find this is download Google Lens on your phone, and you can scan across some of the plants and it will tell you whether or not it's Japanese knotweed in the area. One of the most important things to do at this point is to make sure you haven't got it on your shoes or part of your clothes, and then you take it in the car and take it back to your own home, because just a little bit can spread. It's an invasive plant species and you don't want to take it back home to your own place. If you've got a good relationship with your builder or your tradespeople like I have, and you're conducting a viewing through an estate agent, ask for back-to-back viewings. So normally an estate agent will time out 20 minutes or maybe 15 minutes. See if you can get half an hour or 40, because that gives you so much more time to assess the property with your builder, and they can give you a much better idea of what you'd be expected to pay for the refurbishment. If you think all of this will be a little bit too overwhelming, or you won't be able to remember a lot, get a viewing list, a viewing checklist. So an A4 bit of paper, maybe a couple of pieces of A4, and have your pen and paper ready and go around the property and tick it off. Take as many photos as you can. Definitely take a photo of the boiler, because you need to know how old that boiler is. If it's 20-25 years old, inevitably it's going to need replacing quickly, and that's going to cost you thousands of pounds. That's thousands of pounds to add on to the refurb. If you can get a photo of the make and model of the boiler, it will give you a ballpark area, not exact, ballpark of when that boiler was made, and then you can have an idea of how old it is. When you're viewing the property, start thinking about what your intentions are for it after you've refurbished it, and start thinking of some different exit strategies. So I knew that initially I wanted this to be a standard buy-to-let. The rental in the area was good and the purchase price in the area was relatively low, but also I knew that I could flip this and pass it on to another investor, because even once it's refurbished, it yields and returns pretty well. And I even had a third exit of a serviced accommodation, because it's a 10-minute walk to the train station, it's really close to the town centre, and it's super close to all the bars and the nightlife, so perfect for a serviced accommodation type property. And I'm not just saying this for the sake of it, because when you've got a buy-to-let and you're going to have someone in there for a long time, compared to a serviced accommodation where it might be cleaned regularly and it's going to have to be a bit more premium, you're pricing up what sort of finish you're going to have on the walk around. Think about flooring, for example. Flooring can be really, really expensive. If you're doing a buy-to-let, you're going to need hard-wearing carpet, which is not going to be as luxurious as like a thick rug style carpet that you might need for a serviced accommodation, and that's going to have a big difference on your refurbishment price again. If you want a cheeky little top tip here for carpet especially, you can buy thinner carpet but thicker underlay, and that will give the feeling of a thicker carpet and a more luxurious finish. I hope none of my tenants are looking at this. You need to decide whether or not you're going to project manage it yourself, or if you're going to get someone in to run the job. Project managing it yourself would mean getting quotes from lots of different trades. You'd need a good scope of works, and you'd need to understand the build process. So taking it from first fix to second fix through to finishes and snags. There is a way that you get trades in, and an order and a timeline that they come in, as to not get in each other's way and to complete the job quickly. If you want to do it yourself, but you also need the job to run very quickly, and it's your first time, I'd maybe advise not doing that unless you can lean on someone for advice, or you think you're quite a competent person and you'll be able to sort that out. It's going to take longer than expected. If you need to get something done quickly and efficiently, find a good builder. That's exactly what I did. I've managed projects before, but on this one my time was far more important to me, and I wanted to get the job done as speedily and as efficiently as possible, which meant getting someone in that does it on a day-to-day basis. So again, you need to complete due diligence on tradespeople or builders, no matter which one you are picking, no matter how you are deciding to manage the project. Always try and opt for trusted tradespeople. Use your network if you can to use trades that people you know have used, tried and tested trades. Use websites like Check a Trade or My Builder. They have worked well for me. And just ring round locally. Again, look at their Google reviews, look at their Trustpilot reviews, see if you can talk to recent previous clients of theirs to see what they thought of their work. That's exactly what I did on this particular project. I hadn't invested in this area for a little while, so the contacts that I had for trades were old and kind of dated, I guess. So I went to look at builders that were close to the vicinity, had excellent reviews, and ones that I could talk to previous clients of as well. I obtained 4 quotes. All were in and around the same price. You can normally tell if a builder wants the job or not by how high they quote. The larger of the 4 was right at the top end there, and I don't think he really wanted the job, to be honest. I don't think he wanted the job at all. Choose your builder after you've done your due diligence. We've chosen our builder, or we've chosen our trade, but in my scenario, I've chosen my builder. And what's next? After agreeing the quote, we don't just get them to start on site. There's still some things that we need to send over. When you're hiring a builder, or even when you're getting the quotes done, make sure you know exactly what's included in the quote. Does their quote include materials? Does their quote include labour? Does their quotes include waste and disposing of waste? And does their quote include the builder's profit? Once you've concluded all that and you're happy with how your builder's quoted, next step is to send them specifications for each room. So my example, I was happy with how he quoted. It included materials, it included labour, it included his profit. It didn't include disposing of the waste, and we added that price on a little bit later, but I knew that was going to come. So next we're sending over specifications of each room and a detailed specification for each room. I'll give you an example. The bathroom. I needed to tell my builder the walls needed to be stripped back and the walls needed to be made good. The tile around the bathroom needed to be a certain type of tile and a certain colour of tile and a certain measurement of tile. The paint was a certain type of paint. I wanted a Dulux paint. I didn't want a standard, not great, flaky trade type of paint. I ordered a certain type of flooring, and the flooring was a certain colour. So in my specification, I included that the flooring was this brand, this make, this colour. The plumbing, I included they needed to supply and install all first fit plumbing as required. The actual bathroom suite itself was to be installed by them, and I gave a complete breakdown of what the suite was, where it was ordered from, and the specifications, the name of it, etc, etc. The electrical work, I told them what type of lights, how many lights, and the name and brand of light. And the finish, the painting and decorating, I needed them to do at least one undercoat and then paint over the top with a gloss to finish. And even smaller, slightly more miscellaneous items that you might forget about, I told them they needed to include a mirror, and there was a certain type of mirror that I wanted ordered and a certain type of vanity unit that I wanted ordered as well. I know that seems quite tedious to include, but let me give you a scenario if you didn't include it. And this is all done by word of mouth, nothing's written down, and you just expect the builder to do what you've asked. Unless you write down specifics, a builder could order something that was the wrong colour. If you just told them, I want a grey floor or a grey laminate floor or a grey tile, but they order an off-white tile or a white tile or a glittery tile, you've got nothing written down in a specification and it's your word against theirs, you might struggle to win that argument, just like you might struggle to win an argument of, I didn't ask for that mirror, or the vanity unit is wrong, or you've only done one undercoat when I asked for 2, or you've done a matte finish on the paint when I asked for gloss. Write down in specifications, send it to them in an email, and then if anything is done wrong, there's no arguments at the end. You've got it written down, you're both in agreement. Get them to sign that or get them to acknowledge that, either with a signature or a reply to your email, and you should have no bugbears or problems when it comes to the exact finish and specification of rooms, because you're both in agreement. Last but not least, you need to ensure that your builder or the tradespeople that you're working with all have public liability insurance. If they don't, and they start on site and they injure a member of the public, guess who's getting it in the neck? You or me, as the person that's hired them and the person that is essentially in charge of the project. And at the same time of checking whether or not they have public liability insurance, you need to agree payment terms and invoicing terms. In my instance, we agreed a small upfront fee so they could start buying some materials. The second payment was roughly halfway through the job when second fix was about to be started. And then the third payment was after second fix had finished, and we held back about £1,000 after the third payment for any snags. So the builder will say, look, this is done. You should go over and check for the quality of the work. You just need to make sure the quality of the finish is right and it's done to specification. If it's not, then that £1,000 that I held back was going to be held back until it was finished. So he's not able to complete paying his guys, or he wasn't able to complete the job or complete getting paid until I was satisfied. Once those snags were finished, I paid that last £1,000 to the builder and we shook hands. I said thank you. We also spoke about other projects that we could potentially do together. I built a relationship with this guy now where he's happy to go and view projects on my behalf, knowing that he is more likely to get the work himself. We've opened up a door for that and future work, and we've also opened up a door for joint venturing, where I would provide all the money and he would provide all of the refurbishment works free of charge, and we take a split of the profits. So that's it on the refurbishment process. Hopefully the video gave you loads and loads of value. If you enjoyed the video today and you feel like you've learned a lot, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I'll be releasing loads of other videos around property, particularly on previous case studies, future projects, and how I'm navigating the property market in 2023. And if you'd like to follow along and think you can continue learning from me, I can't wait to see you in the next video.